Happy Labor Day, everyone. Boy, the weather has turned. It's cold. Sunshine, though, and very windy conditions. You see the wind blowing straight in today. It's the Hyundai leadoff man on WGN Sports. The Reds and Cubs coming up in about 20 minutes. Hi again, everyone. We hope your Labor Day is going well. I'm Len Casper. Bob Brenly coming up here in just a few minutes as the Cubs host the Cincinnati Reds' first of a three-game series. Let's look back on the highlights of Game 3 of the Pirates series as the Cubs were trying to avoid the sweep. Didn't get off to a good start. Derek Lee with a big weekend, an RBI single off Randy Wells, 1-0 Pirates. But Carlos Pena's had a nice stretch here lately. Thought he was going to hit into a double play. Instead, the ball's thrown away, and the Cubs able to get a run. Starlin Castro with a little dribbler down the line. Called safe at first, and an excellent base running maneuver by Coy Hill as he would come around to score. And that made it 2-1 Cubs. Marlon Byrd with a sac fly in the fifth. Cubs just kind of able to squeak out a few runs with sac flies and ground balls. They left runners on in every inning. They had a ton of chances in this game. You see Coy Hill knocking in another run with a ground out. Sixth inning, Brian LaHare in his Cubs debut with a bloop single to left. Aramis Ramirez scoring. 5-1 Cubs at that point. Now in the eighth inning, Neil Walker with a home run to center off Jeff Samardzija. That made it 5-3. Cubs would tack on in the bottom of the eighth on a Marlon Byrd RBI single, and then Sean Marshall strikes out Jose Tabata, a pinch hitter. With one out, he gets Presley on the strikeout, and then Josh Harrison will ground out to Darwin Barney. Cubs win 6-3 the final as Sean Marshall gets his fourth save. And how about Randy Wells? After a 2-4 start to the season, he's now won 5 consecutive decisions. You see a 6.16 over his prior 12 starts, but a 3 over this unbeaten stretch. So coming up today, Dontrelle Willis, the left-hander for the Reds, against righty Matt Garza for the Cubs. As we go to break on the Hyundai leadoff man, our Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealer spotlight reminds us to check out the award-winning Hyundai Sonata and the all-new Hyundai Elantra at myhyundai.com.
at myhyundaichicago.com.
It is Chicago Blackhawks Day here at the ballpark. Good to see several members of the team, including Patrick Kane, coming off wrist surgery. And he and his teammates will conduct the seventh inning stretch coming up a little bit later. And welcome back to the leadoff man as the Cubs get set to host the Cincinnati Reds. We're going to have a first-time NL Central champion most likely this season, as the Milwaukee Brewers are poised to win the division. Let's take a look back at the last decade or so in terms of division winners. And you see Houston in 2001, but between 02 and 09, either the Cardinals or the Cubs, who won it 3 times in 03, 07, 08. The defending champion Reds are not going to repeat this season. As we update here to 2011, Cincinnati's just trying to finish over 500. Right now they're a distant 14.5 games out. Cardinals 9.5 back, still mathematically alive, but again, it looks like the Brewers are poised to win it. We'll talk about the pitchers in the minor league report coming up, but as we go to break, time for Bob's AutoZone tip of the day. Today, it's about taking the day off. It's Labor Day. The tip of the day brought to you by AutoZone. For the auto parts, accessories, and advice you need, get in the zone. AutoZone.
'Cause today I swear I'm not doing anything. I'm gonna kick my feet up, then stare at the fan.
Man, brought to you by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers. Check out the award-winning Hyundai Sonata and the all-new Elantra at myhyundaichicago.com.
Starting to feel like hockey season a little bit. 93 degrees on Friday against the Pirates. We'll be in the 60s today against the Cincinnati Reds. Now the Cubs minor league report. And Andrew Kashner will probably be back in the big leagues in the next couple of days. A strikeout in a perfect inning of work with Iowa. He will work out of the bullpen with the Cubs. Josh Vitters knocked in 4 for Tennessee. The Smokies will be in the playoffs. Daytona also in the Florida State League playoffs. And best of luck to Mark Johnson and the Boise Hawks in the Northwest League as they'll open up their East Division playoff series coming up tonight. Coming up in a few minutes, we'll have the Cubs hosting the Cincinnati Reds. Labor Day baseball here on WGN. live at Wrigley Field for a Labor Day edition of Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN Sports. Today, the Cubs open up a 3-game series against Dusty Baker's Cincinnati Reds, and we welcome Cub fans from all over the country watching on WGN America, America's home for baseball. We've got our jackets on today. Bob Brenly and Len Casper. Wind blowing in, and it's cool here at the ballpark. And Bob, the Cubs had a very tough first half, and they're not going to go to the playoffs this year, but they've been better in the second half. Yeah, you have to constantly try to improve, Len, regardless of your place in the standings, regardless of what happened in the first half of the season. And the Cubs have been respectable in the second half. A lot of that can be attributed to the much better pitching we've had in the second half of the season. The defense has tightened up. And the resurgence of Aramis Ramirez in the second half, no small part of those numbers. And the ERA of the starting staff, 1 run lower, 4.29 in the second half than it was in the first. Matt Garza probably has been the Cubs' most consistent starter throughout the year, and he's been good at home, a 188 over his last 7 at Wrigley. Yeah, the real crime is that last stat, only 3 wins in 11 quality starts. Dontrelle Willis can relate. He's made 10 starts. 8 have been quality outings, and he doesn't have a win. Yeah, not the same Dontrelle Willis you may have seen back in the days with the Florida Marlins, but still a very competitive pitcher, has good stuff, and he is really tough on lefties. All right, let's send it down to the field now. Labor Day, so we'll hear God Bless America and our national anthem.
Gary Pressey at the Lowry organ as he honors America with God Bless America. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please remain standing and join Jim Cornelison, accompanied by Gary Pressey at the Lowry organ as they honor America with our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets riggling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? For the land of the free and the home of the brave.
The great Jim Cornelison with our national anthem. The Cubs were running yesterday, Brian LaHare just called up, knocking in a run as they beat the Pirates. They'll try to make it 2 straight coming up.
The Cash Spectacular game? All right.
Brought to you by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. Pepsi Max, the official soft drink of Major League Baseball and your Chicago Cubs. 0 calories, maximum Pepsi taste. Ford, the newest vehicles on the road are now at your local Ford store. Like the all-new Ford Explorer, SUV, 100% reinvented. Visit localfordstores.com. Ford, drive one. And by the Illinois Lottery. Play the new $200 million Cash Spectacular instant game from the Illinois Lottery for your chance at over 7.6 million prizes. Hurry, tickets are limited. Chicago Cubs baseball in beautiful high definition is brought to you by Xfinity, only from Comcast.
Play the new $200 million Cash Spectacular instant game from the Illinois Lottery for your chance at over 7.6 million prizes. Hurry, because tickets are limited.
Let's get the umpires today. We always wait a little extra time when Matt Garza pitches. Andy Fletcher will get the plate. Jim Reynolds at first. Tim Welke, the crew chief, is at second with Greg Gibson over at third. Talked about it briefly in the open, Bob. The Cubs starters at 5.29, way too high before the All-Star break. A little more respectable and a full run lower since.
And I touched on it briefly also in the open, Len. I think some of that has to do with the improved defense. Not as many mental mistakes, not as many physical errors. And, the resurgence of some of the offensive players. Aramis Ramirez with a big second half. Alfonso Soriano's been hot lately. Starlin Castro just continues to rake. But you add it all up, and it's been a much more respectable second half of the season than it was in the first half.
Well, Dontrell Willis, you may remember, was drafted by the Cubs in 2000, but then he was traded to Florida at the end of spring training in 2002. Had a big year in the minor leagues, including a stint at Kane County. And then in 2003 was the Rookie of the Year in the National League. Career derailed by some wildness, but it's good to see him back in the big leagues.
Yeah, really one of the good guys in the game everywhere he's been. Everybody says he's a great teammate, still a tremendous competitor. He can swing the bat, he can run the bases, and having a resurgence on the mound this year.
Now the Reds lineup written out by Dusty Baker. Brandon Phillips recently put in that leadoff spot with Drew Stubbs in center batting second. Joey Votto, Jay Bruce, Yonder Alonso has been playing a little left field. He's been better since he was last time here. You have Juan Francisco at third. Big day yesterday in St. Louis. Devin Mesoraco with his first big league start. Paul Giannis the shortstop, and Dontrell Willis can rake at 409.
And let's check out how the Cubs take the field defensively behind Matt Garza. Brought to you by Pepsi Max, the official soft drink of Major League Baseball and your Chicago Cubs. 0 calories, maximum Pepsi taste. Soriano, Bird, and Johnson across the outfield today. Ramirez and Castro on the left side. A couple of guys that haven't seen the field much this year. Jeff Baker at second base today, filling in for Darwin Barney. And Brian LaHare with a couple of knocks and a walk in his Cubs debut yesterday. He'll be filling in for Carlos Pena at first base. Giovanni Soto doing the catching today for right-hander Matt Garza. Get him some runs. Well, he has pitched some outstanding ball games for the Cubs, especially in the second half of the season, with very little to show for it. Was cruising against the Giants his last time out, ended up going 6 2/3, gave up 9 hits and 2 runs in that ball game.
He's got to worry about that guy at the plate. Dontrell has always been a very good hitter, and at one time actually hit 7th in Jack McKeon's lineup with the Florida Marlins.
Yeah, Dontrell Willis is the kind of offensive pitcher that will change your strategy as a manager. You know, a lot of times when you have a non-hitting pitcher in that 9 spot, you try to get things done before you get to the bottom of the batting order. But with Dontrell Willis's ability to swing that bat, Dusty might just play like he's got a DH in the lineup today.
All right, before we start, you have everything nailed down in the booth.
Looking for paperweights up here.
Here's Brandon Phillips. He's been in the leadoff spot for the past 3 weeks or so. And he takes ball 1.
Where the home run ball does not figure to be in play today. We'll have to wait and see, but that wind is really howling straight in from center field.
A north wind at 21 miles an hour, 62 degrees here at game time. Big crowd, and looks like most everybody came prepared. I see a few pairs of bare legs in the bleachers, but they should be in the sun most of the day. Foul tip.
It'll be a good day for sweatshirts at the team shop if you did not come prepared, because those fans that are sitting in the shade and buffeted by that wind today, it's going to get a little chilly.
Fourth start already for Garza this year against the Reds. He's still looking for his first win. That's trail only the St. Louis Cardinals among all NL teams in runs, and they lead the way with 159 home runs.
And then we've talked about Aramis Ramirez and the Cubs offense in the second half of the season. Well, recently for the Reds, this has been the guy. Brandon Phillips, as you mentioned, recently plugged into that leadoff spot. 30 hits since August 18th, the most in the major leagues, a .423 average over that period of time.
Two on Phillips with Stubbs on deck. And it'll be a foul ball down that third base line.
You mentioned the 3 previous starts for Matt Garza against the Reds this year, an 0-2 record, ERA just over 5. This is not an easy lineup to pitch to. Very well balanced with righties and lefties. Some speed scattered through the lineup with Phillips at the top. Drew Stubbs in that 2 spot.
Called strike 3 on a fastball that caught the outside edge. Phillips didn't think so.
And Gio slides out onto that outside corner. Looked like it didn't quite get back to the corner, but Soto received it well. Brandon Phillips barking at the home plate umpire Andy Fletcher. Good start for the Cubs.
Now Drew Stubbs, who has 182 strikeouts, most in the majors by a long shot. He leads the field by 14. Mark Reynolds has 168. Nobody else has more than 157. Couldn't hold up. 0-2. His power's down this year. He's slugging just 380. If you're going to have that many strikeouts, you'd like to see more power than he has supplied. He hit 22 homers last year and has 15 this season. And Matt Garza is a strikeout pitcher.
Well, this is an interesting matchup, though, Len, because Drew Stubbs is a high fastball hitter. Really can turn on pitches that are up there around the letters. Yeah, that's a pitch that Matt Garza uses very effectively. High fastball to go along with the sharp breaking curve, an occasional straight changeup. Although on a day like this at Wrigley, I throw nothing but high fastballs out over the plate. See how far you can hit it. It's not going to go anywhere.
Inside for ball 4.
When you look up and down this Reds lineup, and I think it's what the Cubs envision for their future. You've got Brandon Phillips, who was a number 2 draft pick by the Expos. Then you've got Stubbs was a number 1 pick, Votto a number 2 pick, Jay Bruce was a 1, Yonder Alonso a 1, Devin Mesoraco catching today a number 1 draft pick by the Reds. Really have done a nice job of developing their own core players here at the major league level.
I think right here is the most overlooked superstar in the game today. Joey Votto, who won the MVP award last year, and you just don't hear his name at all. Stubbs takes off and Votto hits it foul. Joey Votto leads the National League in walks, on base percentage, batting average on the road, average with runners in scoring position. He's hitting .402, and he ranks 4th in hitting overall at .318.
Is that all?
That's it.
He's reached base in 126 of his 139 appearances this season, either via a hit, a walk, or a hit by pitch. Been a busy man on the bases.
I think the reason is the Reds are 2 games under 500, and as we talked about on the leadoff man, they're going to finish on the outside looking in on the rest of the playoff picture. That's not Joey Votto's fault. One and two.
And believe it or not, there's some talk around the Reds camp that Joey Votto could possibly be moved. There's 2 more years left on his contract with the Cincinnati Reds. Next year, very reasonably priced. The last year of the contract, however, it jumps up to $17 million. And with Yonder Alonso waiting in the wings and trying to find a position to play on a regular basis, there's some talk that maybe Joey Votto should be moved to make room for Yonder Alonso.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's worth $17 million right now. Again, ball's not going to carry today as Marlon Byrd will make that catch. Make sure you keep in touch. Len and Bob at Tribune.com. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. And we are open for business even on the holiday. Jay Bruce, 29 home runs. He's knocked in 88. All-star this season, just 24 years old. Career highs in homers and RBIs. I mean, talking about Votto, everybody commenting on Fielder and Pujols becoming free agents. If Joey Votto were just to become available in some sort of trade, he's with both those guys.
Absolutely.
Terrific defensively. I don't know what more you'd want in the first baseman. By the way, just got a release from the Cubs that Andrew Kashner has been activated on the 60-day disabled list. Baker can't corral it. That gets into right, and a base hit for Jay Bruce. Now, we mentioned Kashner pitched yesterday for Iowa, so would not imagine he would be available until tomorrow.
And maybe even the next day, depending on how cautiously the Cubs want to use him the remainder of the season. Well, we know Andrew Kashner is really chomping at the bit to get back in there. But he's a big part of the Cubs' future on that bump out there in the middle of the field. And I'm sure they're going to be very careful in the month of September with Andrew Kashner. The young man I mentioned that some people feel should replace Joey Votto at first base. He's going to have to prove it over a period of time, but so far this season he has shown the National League that he is going to be an offensive force in this game.
And that's trouble, and a base hit. Coming around is Drew Stubbs. He will score. Throw goes behind Bruce, who gets back into second safely, and it's an RBI single for Yonder Alonso. The Reds get the early lead.
We talked about Alonso when the Reds came in here earlier this year, coming out of a big time program down at the University of Miami. Tremendous offensive numbers throughout his minor league career, and he has not missed a beat up here at the major league level with the bat.
Juan Francisco coming off a huge series at St. Louis. 4 hits yesterday, 6 for 11 in the series with 6 RBIs. He knocked in the game-winning run in the 10th on Sunday. Scott Rowland still on the disabled list after left shoulder surgery. And the 1-1. Missed outside. 2-1.
A little early frustration from Matt Garza. Just can't seem to consistently find a good release point, especially with that breaking pitch. It's going to be an important weapon against this Reds team. A very good fastball hitting club.
Making Garza work here in the first inning. Fly ball right center. Bird with a beat on it. And that'll end it. They get one. They strand two. The Cubs coming up against lefty Dontrelle Willis. Zero calories, maximum Pepsi taste. Castro, Johnson, Ramirez at the top. Jeff Baker, rare start at second. Soriano at left. Marlon Byrd in center. Giovanni Soto catching. Tough matchup for Brian LaHare, lefty versus lefty, and Matt Garza will hit ninth.
Take a look at the Reds defensively. Yonder Alonso out in left field. You may remember an earlier series when Tony Campana sliced a ball down the left field line that ended up going for an inside the park home run. That's right. Yonder Alonso was a left fielder that day. Stubbs in center, Bruce in right, Francisco, Yanish, Phillips, and Votto across the infield. Doing the catching today for the Reds, Devin Mesoraco, one of their fine young prospects up from the minor leagues, and Dontrelle Willis, the left-hander, on the bump.
Always in a good mood, but it I'm sure has been tough to be in a good mood considering he's made 10 starts. 8 times has had a quality start, and he still is without a win. He's now 29 years old, 6'4", 225. From the Oakland, California area. And again was drafted by the Cubs 11 years ago. Here's the 0-2 to Castro, and that's hit foul off the end of the bat. Best way to describe Dontrelle Willis is all arms and legs. Release point moves around. It's what creates deception and makes him successful, but it's also created some issues with strike throwing in his career.
And we're told that this season when he does miss the zone, more often than not he misses up and away from right-handed hitters with his fastball.
He seems a little bit more in control than he was early in his career in terms of maybe slowing things down when he gets ready to deliver the ball.
Doesn't have the same fastball he once did. He'll touch 90, 91 with that heater with a little bit of tailing action. Has a real good slider that has been devastating on left-handed hitters this year. They've hit only 146 against Dontrelle Willis. He'll mix in an occasional straight changeup.
Drew Stubbs for the first out. Well, Willis was an 8th round pick of the Cubs out of Alameda, California in 2000, and he said he was very appreciative that the Cubs took a chance on a gangly lefty when they did.
Here you see the splits for Dontrelle Willis. Go get him, right-handers. And Dusty Baker trying to make it a little more comfortable for Dontrelle Willis today, putting Devin Mesoraco behind the plate, who caught all 13 of his starts at the minor league level this year.
Yeah, I tell you, I haven't seen Dontrelle in person in a long time. His delivery looks a lot different. quite as many moving parts, so to speak. Not quite as busy. And it's Stubbs to take it. If the Reds have a lead in the late innings, Dusty Baker will certainly take Alonso out in left. You want to get him a few at bats. Get his bat in the lineup, and he's already knocked in a run.
And looking ahead to the latter portions of the ball game, Dusty Baker has an all right-handed hitting bench today. For Mike Quaddy, mostly lefties with the exception of Darwin Barney and the switch hitting Coy Hill. Now you're right about Dontel's windup and delivery. The leg kick is not nearly as high as it used to be. He's more centered over the rubber. Used to have a lot of lateral movement back and forth.
No play for Bruce. Ramirez just 2 for 17 against Willis. Two-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year in 03.
Some similarities to the old delivery, but the leg kick not nearly as high. The upper body a lot more under control. Keeping his head on that target. And not quite as violent a follow-through.
Pitching in Wrigley Field for the first time since 2007 when he was with Florida, and a called strike 3 on a fastball to get Ramirez. The Cubs go down quietly in the first, 1-0 Reds. Blog on WGNTV.com. I have a post on Labor Day baseball. We have video of our brilliant stretch. I'm just reading yesterday, and I didn't write it. Game notes from stats and much more at WGNTV.com. We'll be recording a new podcast today as well.
Happy Labor Day to all you who are laboring today. For those of you who don't have to labor today, and for any women who may be actually in labor.
Yeah. Are there more births on Labor Day than other days? Here's Devin Mesoraco, who made his major league debut on Saturday in St. Louis as a pinch hitter. On the first pitch he ever saw in the big leagues, he hit a double off Mitchell Boggs. His parents were in attendance, so they saw it in person, and today gets his first start.
He was the Reds minor league player of the year last season, an award they call the Chief Bender Award, named for Sheldon Bender.
Bird for the out.
We want to let our AT&T U-verse viewers in Chicago and around the country on WGN America know that during every Cubs home game this season, if you go to channel 780 or high definition channel 1780, you can see special multi-view presentation that shows you all of our different live camera angles right here at Wrigley Field. It's pretty cool. So if you want to direct the game along with Skip Ellison, give a look to AT&T U-verse channel 780 or high def channel 1780.
Paul Janisch, the shortstop, trying to snap, and 0 for 26. 0 for 27, I should say. It's 4 flyouts to Marlon Byrd.
And 2 of the 3 outs that the Cubs made in the bottom half of the first inning were fly balls to center field. Looks like both pitchers are going to use the elements to their advantage here today.
So here's Willis. And he swings away at the first pitch. This is going to be a quick one here unless it drops. No, it's Ramirez who kept looking at it when Castro lost it in that wind. The bleachers, and today in honor of Ron Santo, clicking his heels, and then on the sleeve they have the 10 patch that the Cubs players are wearing this season. Jeff Baker rolls one to Janisch. 1 pitch, 1 out. I will wear mine proudly. There's the 10 on the sleeve.
Heel clicking Ronnie on the left chest. Nice shirt. Proud of that one. Might have it on before the end of the day.
Might need it. Alfonso Soriano looks at a strike. 8 for 21 with a home run against Willis. Couldn't hold up on a breaking ball. 1-2. Well, another guy, and you talked about Mesoraco, has caught Willis. Corky Miller, the veteran catcher, also had worked with Willis at AAA, and Willis gave Miller a lot of credit for his success this season. Called him a once-in-a-lifetime guy like Halley's Comet. Pretty high praise.
Yeah.
Full count, 3-2.
The one thing that really stands out for Dontrell Willis, other than his ability on the field, that unbridled enthusiasm. I mean, it really is genuine. It's infectious. Everybody on the team loves to play hard behind him because they know they're getting the best effort from him every time he takes the field.
Bud Light Bleacher Series provides fans with exciting special promotions in the Bud Light bleachers, including, as we mentioned, free T-shirt Mondays, $3 12-ounce draft Bud and Bud Light Tuesdays, and $1 Vienna Beef Hot Dog Wednesdays. Tuesday's special also available in select locations in the Seating Bowl. Bleacher tickets for the rest of this Red Series are only $20. For more info, go to Cubs.com. Marlon Byrd grounds out. And the Cubs go quietly in the second. 1-0 Cincy.
From the Illinois Lottery, Tuesday's Mega Millions jackpot is $37 million, while Wednesday's Powerball jackpot stands at $107 million.
Both starters with a very quick 1-2-3 second. And now it'll be the second time through for the Reds against Matt Garza. I know you are not a pitching coach, but sometimes you play one on TV. Having watched Matt Garza in his first year with the Cubs, making his 27th start, what one or two things do you think he needs to get better at? If anything, is he a finished product at 27?
I think he is pretty close to a finished product. I think like any pitcher at this level, consistency, just being a little more consistent with his stuff. Maybe a little more homework in how he matches up against an opposing team's offense and how he can best go about getting them out. As we forget, you know, pretty much all new hitters for him this year coming over from the American League. He's still in the process here in September of developing a book on opposing hitters and how he thinks he can get them out. But more than anything else, just more consistency, especially with his release point.
There's a 1-1 to Phillips.
Well, and work on his defense.
Well, you know, that's what I was going to say. I don't think it's anything necessarily with his pitching.
Nope.
I just think he needs to get better at the other parts of the game, particularly the defense. And we've seen improvements in his offense. He will help himself by cutting down on those errors.
Yep, no question about it. And in the National League, you're going to have more opportunities to field your position as a pitcher. You're going to have more sacrifice bunt situations late in close games. You're going to have position players putting down sacrifice bunts. You're going to have some leadoff hitters trying to bunt for a base hit, and until he proves that he can handle that part of the game more consistently, I think that is a strategy that teams are going to use against him.
Easy fly out towards Soriano. The Reds continue to hit the ball in the air. And I think a home run hitting team, the wind could be blowing in at 70 miles an hour, and I think guys will still try to hit the ball out of the park.
Especially given the fact that the Reds play 81 games a year in that bandbox in Cincinnati. Even with the wind blowing in, you can reach the seats there.
Guess what? A fly ball. Reed Johnson. Well, that ball just hit the sidewall, the ledge area, and the wind is going to push everything toward that side of the field.
It looked like Reed had a play on that ball initially off the bat, but it just continued to slice further and further into foul territory.
And the foul poles are literally moving. Swaying ever so slightly. It's very stiff wind. Backhanded. Castro can't get him. Stubbs runs very well. Good effort, and it'll be an infield hit.
Well, that'll go as an infield hit, Len, but that is one of the better plays we've seen Starlin Castro make in a long time. He just catches the ball and throws, plants that right foot and gets rid of it quickly, knowing that Stubbs has good speed down that baseline. I don't know. Very close. Stubbs gets the benefit of the doubt, but nice play that time by Starlin Castro to get rid of that ball quickly. Well, he showed you the speed from home to first. He's got the same kind of speed the rest of the way around the bases. 36 stolen bases on the season for Drew Stubbs.
Votto hits a fly down the left field line. Boy, that ball looked like it was going to be 50 feet fair, and it ended up 15 feet foul into the seats.
Especially those slashing swings that put a lot of side English on the baseball. Then it gets up into that stiff wind. And you see some balls doing funny things here today. It's going to be an adventure defensively.
Stubbs goes, and he's going to get in. Good backup by Jeff Baker. Stubbs now with his 37th, tied with Matt Kemp for 4th in the majors in steals.
He actually had 2 false starts over there at first base. Was leaning and got out on his front foot a little bit too much. Regained his balance, started leaning a second time, got his balance again, and still took off as Garza delivered that pitch to home plate. Now, normally if you have a false start where you get your weight out on the front foot and then have to rock back to a balanced position, not too many base stealers are going to attempt to go, but Stubbs did it twice and still went.
A little better look at that flagpole, foul pole. It's moving around. You just hope if a red hits a ball there, it moves just a little bit to the right. It's a foul. Yikes.
Yikes is right. Man, look at 35 walks with runners in scoring position. So many run producers in the middle of the lineup are so aggressive in those situations. They refuse to take a walk.
It's going to hold up. It's going to be a double play. Drew Stubbs already around third. I'm not sure if he thought there were 2 outs or he just assumed that ball would drop in, but neither was the case. Inning over. Bottom 3 in the Cubs order. Giovanni Soto takes a pitch low from Dontrelle Willis, who has a 1-0 lead. One thing Willis, I guess, has been able to count on is not a lot of run support here this season from a team that usually scores a lot. We were talking with Chris Welsh, a fine color analyst on Reds TV, about pitching in this ballpark, which he did many times. He always preferred it on a day like this.
They all do, yeah.
Willis can't get it, but Giannis will. And Soto out. Bring up Brian LaHare. Dontrelle in 2002, and he's still with the Cubs.
He's done a much better job as his career has progressed to keep his eye on the target. When he was a member of the Florida Marlins, he'd look up toward the roof of the stadium in the middle of his delivery and then turn back to home plate and pick up his target very late. Everything is much more compact now. Driving toward his target. A lot more focused on where he wants to deliver that pitch, as he never took his eyes off the catcher's glove that time.
Carlos Pena gets a day off today. And it's Brian LaHare with his 2nd consecutive start. This time at first base. He was in left in his Cub debut yesterday. I don't think he's hit 8th too often. Certainly not at Iowa. He was a middle of the order guy with 38 home runs. Stubbs and Bruce in the area, and it's Drew Stubbs, 2 down.
The 2011 Chicago Cubs on WGN are brought to you by Bud Light Lime. Just the right taste of Bud Light with a refreshing splash of 100% natural lime flavor.
Matt Garza, who had 2 hits in his last start Tuesday night in San Francisco. He beat Ryan Vogelsong. Swing and a miss to end the inning. Willis perfect through 3, and it's 1-0 Reds.
Quaddy, log on to WGNTV.com right now and click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner to connect to all the up-to-the-minute stats and information while you're watching at home. Game Zone is sponsored by The Great Escape, pools, patio sets, play sets, hot tubs, and more.
One nothing Cincinnati as we get into the 4th inning. Kind of hard to remember summer. I don't mind it though. I really don't. It's refreshing.
I'm plenty refreshed.
Crisp early September afternoon. Bruce, Alonso, and Francisco against Matt Garza, who gave up a run in the first, nothing since. And a strike. Well, we've talked about kind of the method today in terms of the pitchers. As a hitter, do you change your swing, knowing that it's going to be improbable, if not impossible, to hit a home run?
Well, ideally, as a hitter, you're trying to hit a line drive every at bat. And if you hit a line drive with the wind blowing in, that's no problem. You just want to try to avoid swinging at pitches up above the belt where you're likely to hit the ball in the air. And on a day like this, even more so than normal as a hitter, you look for the holes. You hope to have a runner on base when you're at the plate, get that infield defense broken up a little bit, and then look for a pitch that maybe you could shoot through the vacated hole. But most hitting coaches will tell you they want their hitters to hit line drives regardless of conditions.
And we'll do it again. Well, you always point out the little quirks of batters and things they do before they hit, and I'm distracted by Jay Bruce. You pointed something out earlier this year with that back arm right there.
Yeah, it almost looks like he's asking for timeout, but he just kind of stretches out that left arm before taking his final grip on the handle of that bat.
Swing and a miss. Strike 3. McDonald's Daily Double is back for just $1.89, but you don't have to remember it to love it. Prices and participation may vary for a limited time. A la carte only. Alonso with the RBI single in the first. Big swing, and that ball the opposite direction of where he looked after he made contact. As he hit it over yonder.
Way over yonder. I'll tell you, with Joey Votto and Jay Bruce and now Yonder Alonso, I don't know if there are 3 potentially more dangerous left-handed hitters in any lineup in the National League. Votto with 26 bombs, Bruce with 29. Yonder Alonso in limited playing time has 4 already, hitting .380. Of course, the overwhelming majority of pitchers in the National League, in baseball for that matter, are right-handed. So if you have that kind of left-handed thump in your offensive lineup, you've got a chance to do some serious damage.
Closers are right-handed. Well, it goes back to what we keep talking about, pitching. The Reds have struggled in that department. Two and two the count with Juan Francisco on deck. Called strike 3.
Appeared to be a backdoor slider that time from Matt Garza. Like it was on the corner, might have been at the bottom of the kneecaps. Take a look on pitch tracks. Perfect shot right there at the knees on the outside corner.
Full slate of games, a lot of matinees on this holiday Monday. Big series in Cleveland. The Indians maybe, well, their last chance to really get back into that race. 6.5 behind Detroit, and the Tigers have a 4-1 lead in the bottom of the 8th. Detroit just swept the White Sox. Arizona with a big win yesterday, so they took 2 of 3 from the Giants. Talking about the Indians, Grady Sizemore off the DL, and the Brewers swept the Astros. Garza strikes out the side here in the 4th. Cubs looking for their first base runner against Dontrelle Willis when we come back. Again, as Chevy dealers for their support of local youth baseball leagues. Through the Chevy Youth Baseball Program, the local Chevrolet dealers are supporting over 35,000 young ball players in their communities, from the big leagues to the youth leagues. Chevy is truly the official vehicle of baseball. One and one on Starlin Castro. 3 flyouts to center, 3 groundouts to short, and 3 strikeouts for Willis. I guess it was 3-0. We had 2-1 on our tally, and they had that on the scoreboard, but it was 3-0. So there's the first base runner. A leadoff walk. Johnson right at .330, even after an 0-for-1 start today. Francisco in at third. They're back in double play depth up the middle, and a short lead by Castro, but Willis fires over there anyway. In that game in Cleveland, Detroit leading 4-2 in the top of the 9th. Doug Fister has gone the distance for the Tigers. 8 innings, 2 runs, 1 earned, 13 strikeouts. Guy they got from the Seattle Mariners. And he's trying to improve to 4-1 with Detroit after going 3-12 with a very good ERA with Seattle. That'll tell you a lot about wins and losses. A 3.33 earned run average, and he went 3-12. And Johnson strikes out. That ball was dropped, but Johnson did not make contact.
If fans want to see a Cubs game from the front row at Wrigley Field, well, now you can. Visit Cubs.com and click on the CBOE front row seats auction to bid on tickets in the front row, behind home plate, and along the first base line. Front row seats will be auctioned off to every game all season long, so don't miss your chance. Go to Cubs.com and check out the CBOE front row seats auction today.
Fouled away by Ramirez. Not a bad place to aim, although it's going to be very difficult to get there.
You've got a better chance if you're sitting behind home plate with that sign today. The foul ball back that direction. Probably aren't going to see too many balls hit that deep into the bleachers. That's the pitch that we're told when Dontrell Willis loses his command. That's where he misses with the fastball. Up and away from the right-handed hitters. Maybe just in a little bit too big of a hurry to release that pitch and doesn't get out front, driving that ball down to the bottom of the zone.
Low and inside. And it's 2-1. So 62 when we started today. And again, you've got a cold breeze coming out of the north. But what was the note? Was it the first 2 months of the season? Or the first 6 weeks, whatever. The average game time temperature here was 43.
43 degrees.
We're about 19, 20 degrees warmer than that. Remember when?
Yeah.
It was cold. Willis has walked 2 here in the 4th inning. Brian Price, his pitching coach, is going to head out.
Talk all the time about the adjustments that are necessary in order to be successful in this game. For a hitter, sometimes you have to make adjustments from at bat to at bat or pitch to pitch. For a pitching coach, when a guy consistently misses in the same area, that's a little bit of an easier fix because he's probably doing the same thing wrong every time. You have a guy that's pulling one fastball off the plate inside to a righty, and then he's missing high and away to a righty, and bouncing one breaking ball and hanging the next one. And he's got multiple issues if that's happening. If you're consistently missing in the same spot, that's usually a fairly easy adjustment to make for a pitching coach and a pitcher.
And Price is a good one. So you'll want to Baker. It's just outside. 1-1 the count. Castro at second. Ramirez at first. The Cubs still without a hit. They have 2 walks here in this 4th inning. Barney getting the day off with Baker at second. So the right side of the Cubs infield. 2 main guys getting some rest. 3-1.
Not a pitch you want to swing at. 3-1 anyway. Fastball right at the bottom of the kneecaps, center of the plate. That's probably going to result in a ground ball. That's not what Jeff Baker's looking for right here. He wants to line it somewhere. I like that, Len. Not only did Dontrelle Willis use that inside move to check the runner at second, but when he saw that Castro was breaking back to the bag, he immediately looked to first base to see if they might have a play on Ramirez.
They take off. Ball 4, and they're loaded up. He's walked them loaded. And one of the Cubs' hotter hitters coming up. Well, that's a tough pitch to lay off, and Baker did. There's Dusty Baker, former Cubs manager. Big spot here for the Cubs. Base hit for Soriano. Castro scores, and Ramirez will be held at third. Their first hit of the day, and Soriano ties it up. His RBIs over the past week have all been big. Knocked in 4 on Saturday.
Willis messing around at the bottom of that strike zone, and we know that's where Soriano likes the ball. Gets a low fastball, rips it into left field. Alonso's throw way to the first base side there. That ball was going to split the difference between home plate and first base. And Francisco let it go. Something to keep in mind. Andrew Alonso is not an outfielder.
Still loaded with 1 out. Marlon Byrd, knee-high fastball.
Want me to state the obvious, Len?
Sure, why not?
Marlon Byrd really needs to get a hit here with the bases loaded. 0-83 this season. 1 for 12 with the bases loaded. He has hit 2 sacrifice flies in this situation, but love to see him bust one in a gap right here.
And he's late on that fastball. Like Willis with a little extra heat. That went up to 91, 2 down.
Well, we've seen Willis's fastball sit anywhere between 82 and that last one at 91. In that respect, a little like former Cub Ted Lilly. Does not throw every fastball the same velocity. He gets himself into a hitter's count, 2-0, 3-1. He might take a little bit off. That time ahead in the count, he put a little extra on.
Jay Bruce will have just enough room. And Willis able to limit the damage. They tie it on the Soriano single. It's 1-1.
To text Subway to 97999. Go to WGNTV.com for complete information and rules.
Shot from Joe Pausback as we get into the 5th. Devin Mesoraco in his first major league start. Fly to center his first time up. Garza just struck out the side in the last inning. Wild game in New York. Yankees 9, Orioles 8. They're in the 7th. Short days for the starters in that one. Brian Mattis and Freddie Garcia. Neither guy pitched more than 2 2/3. Markakis, Reynolds, Andino, Teixeira, Cano, and Montero have all homered in that game.
Conditions are probably a little different there than they are here.
I'm gathering, yes. Ground ball picked up by Ramirez. Nicely done. He gets the out. It's 14 consecutive losing seasons, by the way, for the Orioles. We check out Ramirez with a nice defense.
Ball came up a little bit at the very end. Ramirez had his glove in a good position to make the adjustment. Turns it into a fairly easy out at first base. We haven't seen a lot of Desmond Mesoraco. It looks like he wants to pull the ball.
One and one to Paul Janisch. Different story in Toronto. Red Sox and Blue Jays are scoreless in the bottom of the 8th. Now Josh Beckett went 3 2/3, 3 hits, no runs. It makes you wonder if there was an injury. Sprained right ankle for Josh Beckett. Tampa Bay 5, Texas nothing in the bottom of the 8th. And St. Pete, guess who's gone the distance for the Rays? James Shields, 8 shutout innings to this point. That would be his 11th complete game if he gets it. Cubs have 2. The Reds have 3. James Shields has 10. Ball 4 as Giannis draws the walk. Normally Dontrelle Willis would be swinging away here, but with the wind conditions, I wonder if he'll be asked to bunt.
He's put down 3 sack bunts this season. That's the thing about Dontrelle Willis, and it gives Dusty Baker some flexibility. You can show bunt on the first pitch and then let him swing away at the second one. If the Cubs are charging hard defensively, he can swing away at the first one, maybe bunt the next offering. Gives you some options as a manager when you have a guy that can handle the bat.
Well, kind of wish he had bunted. According to Elias, there has not been a major league pitcher to hit at least 400 with 20 at bats since Alan Watson at 417 in 1995. Prior to that, it was Steve Blass with the Pirates who hit 417 in 1973. Willis began his Reds career with a 6-game hitting streak. Has 4 3-hit games in his career.
And has been used once so far this season as a pinch hitter off the bench. Probably won't get many opportunities to do that the remainder of the way with the expanded rosters, but when you're stuck on 25 during the regular season, you maybe have some minor injuries to guys off the bench. It's a nice weapon to have.
In 2004, Willis went 3 for 3 in each of his first 2 starts. Broken bat, 1 hopper. Castro, Baker, LaHair, a double play, and that's the inning. 6-4-3 to end it. 1-1. and 15th, 2012. Rooms are available now by calling the Hilton Chicago at 312-922-4400 and asking for the Cubs convention rate. Weekend passes go on sale in early November. For more information, visit Cubs.com. Great to have you with us here on Labor Day as the Reds and Cubs play in a 1-1 tie in the bottom of the 5th. Crisp and cool and sunny and a ton of wind. LaHare dribbles a ground ball to Joey Votto. The flip and the barehanded pick there by Dontrelle Willis.
Said that Dontrelle's a good athlete, gets off the mound quickly and sticks out that big bare paw and swipes that toss right out of midair, and plenty of time to get LaHare at first base.
Two 2-0 to Garza. Twins lead the, or rather, White Sox lead the Twins 2-0 in the bottom of the 6th. At Target Field. Quick turnaround for the White Sox, who got drilled last night in Detroit. In the day game today, 18-2. Was the final last night. Garza strikes out. That's 6 Ks for Willis. With 2 outs, it's Starlin Castro.
Let me ask you a question there, partner.
Yes, sir.
How many times do you remember seeing Starlin Castro bunt for a base hit this year? Do you remember any?
Oh, I'm guessing maybe 1 or 2, but I can't remember.
And yet look where Francisco is playing at third base. Now he is going to backpedal several steps. He was in at the cut of the grass to the first pitch to Starlin Castro.
The answer is 0, right?
I don't recall seeing Starlin try to bunt for a base hit. But he's a middle infielder. He has good speed, so other teams assume they have to take the bunt away from him.
And he's the leadoff hitter.
Yeah, well, you can't take away what a guy doesn't have. It's just not part of his game. But yet, not only the Reds, but we've seen a lot of teams attempt to take the bunt away from Starlin.
It's his 179th hit that leads the National League. And he's been on base twice today. That's a career best 19-game on base streak. Brewers are in St. Louis today. Randy Wolf will battle Jake Westbrook.
As usual, Doug Stanton down in the truck right on top of it informs us that Starlin Castro has 3 bunt base hits in his career. I'd venture to guess that they were sacrifice situations that he just beat him out.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Hey, speaking of the Brewers, did you see their attire for their flight the other day?
I did. They all had cowboy outfits on, getting on their charter flight as Reed Johnson puts a charge into this one, a deep left. And where is it? Lost in the ivy. Looked like Alonso had a chance to catch it, and that is going to keep the Cubs from scoring. Boy, that ball disappeared. And I don't know if we'll ever find the baseball.
Boy, Reed Johnson absolutely stepped on that drive to left field. Wind continues to house straight in from left field. This is our BMW ultimate drive of the game. A breaking ball that hung up over the plate for Reed Johnson. Got the barrel on it. Nice quick swing. Looked like he was headed for the bleachers, but the wind knocked it down. Yonder Alonso has issues under the best of conditions. Just fanned on that ball, and it disappeared into the ivy for a ground rule double. Brought to you by your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana BMW dealers. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Brian Price will come out and talk it over with his pitcher and catcher. They have a base open with the Cubs' best hitter at the plate. So Castro not allowed to score. He has to stop at third on the double by Reed Johnson. Yonder Alonso has had nightmares about playing left here in this ballpark. He's an inexperienced outfielder, and this is not an easy place to play, especially on a day like this. 1-1. Send out happy 26th birthday wishes to Tyler Colvin. See him get into the game later. Two and two on Ramirez. Kick and a pitch. Big cut, and he fouled it back. The final in Cleveland, the Tigers a 4-2 winner for their fourth in a row. Fister over Jimenez. Jose Valverde got his 41st save. He's 41 for 41.
Almost tries to get up on his toes to get on top of that high fastball right there. Fouls it straight back. Looked like he was hoping to drive that ball toward right center field, but just underneath it a hair.
Base hit left field. Castro in. They're going to send Johnson. Throw to the plate. Not in time. Ramirez with a two-run single.
I'm not so sure Reed Johnson got on the plate initially, but he was able to get back and touch home plate before the Reds realized that the home plate umpire, Andy Fletcher, had not made a call. Pretty good throw this time from Alonso. On a hop to Devin Mesoraco, and you see the home plate umpire does not make a call. He's just backing off the play until Reed Johnson touches home plate and is ultimately called safe. The Reds infielders saw it but could not get the attention of Desmond Mesoraco and Dontrell Willis in time to let them know that Johnson had missed the plate.
First RBIs for Ramirez in 11 games as Baker shows bunt. At 20 over a 19-game stretch, but it's been almost a couple of weeks in between. And Pete Johnson in a game of hide and seek at the plate. So the Cubs lead 3-1. 3 consecutive 2-out hits here in the fifth.
Good battling at bat that time by Aramis. Ramirez fouled off some tough pitches in and out of the strike zone. Ultimately got a ball he could handle and ripped it into left field.
And he almost got hit by that rocket off the bat of Jeff Baker. Baker has a double. Second and third again.
Good things happen when you're in a good hitting position. Jeff Baker was actually just a little bit tardy on that pitch, but he was balanced. He got his bat through the strike zone in a very level fashion. Produces that line drive into right field.
He will intentionally walk Soriano and face Marlon Byrd. It will be with the bases loaded. We're going to see some action in the Cincinnati pen. Right-hander Carlos Fisher. So Byrd bats again with the bases loaded. Gets away from Mesoraco, and Ramirez scores. It's 4-1. That's a wild pitch.
First pitch breaking ball to Marlon Byrd. That back foot slider that just kept dive bombing toward the dirt. Mesoraco tried to catch it in the air. Planked off his glove as Ramirez is able to trot home.
Left field corner. Foul. Just foul.
Once again, that wind that continues to howl straight in. Any side rotation on that baseball at all is going to be exaggerated. That looked like it was going to be a double into the left field corner and just hooks into foul territory.
Busy inning here for Alonso on left. And we'll hold up for Drew Stubbs. The Cubs get 3 runs and now lead 4-1. Blackhawks Day here at Wrigley Field. Lots of activities outside the ballpark, and Patrick Kane and company will conduct the stretch coming up.
Don't feel like
Follow the Cubs with the MLB.com at Bat 11 app for your iPhone, iPad, Android, or BlackBerry. Get live audio, pitch-by-pitch tracking, video highlights, and more. Text at BAT to 31826 or visit Cubs.com for details. Ramos Ramirez with a good battling at bat. Picks up a 2-run single. Cubs would add a run, and it would be Ramirez scoring on a wild pitch to make it 4-1 in support of Matt Garza. He faces Drew Stubbs. Stubbs has walked, singled, stolen a base, and has scored the only Reds run. One ball, one strike. It's busy out in the bleachers today here on Labor Day. Nationals lead the Dodgers 6-1 in the 8th in D.C. They're getting ready for the return of Steven Strasburg tomorrow. James Shields did go the distance, 124 pitches. Gave up a run in the 9th, but Tampa Bay beat Texas 5-1. 11 complete games for Shields.
That's remarkable in this day and age for a guy to finish 11 ball games.
218 innings on the season. He's been over 200 5 straight years. Garza's former teammate. Stubbs strikes out. 5 for Garza. And now the Cubs' upcoming schedule brought to you by Lincoln. It's not just luxury, it's smarter than that. Feel smarter at Lincoln.com. 2 more games in this series, both night contests. And then the Cubs will have an off day Thursday and head to New York for the weekend. Cubs and Mets from Citi Field. U.S. Open finals this weekend. It's going to be busy in Flushing. Joey Votto pops to Starlin Castro.
Number 32, Jay Bruce.
Bleachers are jam-packed today. Cubs lead 4-1 here in the 6th. Jay Bruce looks at a curve for a strike.
Steady diet of breaking balls here in this at bat to Jay Bruce. I mentioned earlier this Reds team a real good fastball hitting team up and down their lineup. Anytime you can throw any kind of an off-speed pitch in or around that strike zone against a dead fastball hitting team, you got a much better chance of working your way through the lineup unscathed. The key to that is don't put yourself in situations where you're forced to throw the fastball, where they can become a more predictable pitch.
Inside corner, he got him. And a 1-2-3-6 for Garza, cruising with a 4-1 lead. First delivery from Dontrell Willis up and away to Giovanni Soto. Cubs hold a 4-1 advantage here in this ball game. It'll be Soto, Laher, and Garza, the scheduled hitters for the Cubs. Golfed high in the air. And Alonso will get it.
Time to take a look at our Honda game summary. Cubs holding that 3-run edge right now. Yonder Alonso got the Reds on the board back in the first with an RBI single. Cubs pushed across a single run in the fourth, 3 more in the fifth, and Matt Garza has been dealing 6 strikeouts in the first 6 innings. Visit your local Honda dealer today to test drive the 2011 Honda Cross Tour, available with 4-wheel drive.
Laher 0 for 2. And takes a strike.
And you mentioned that upcoming road trip to Citi Field in New York, and I know Brian Laher is anxiously looking forward to that. I asked him before the game today if his family had a chance to get into town, and his wife Nicole and his daughter Ava Rose are here, but the rest of the family is going to join in New York this weekend, so that'll be a nice reunion for Brian Laher and his family.
Ball and 2 strikes. The PCL MVP. Watching across the street on Sheffield as Laher smacks that one foul. He had it momentarily and then dropped it. His error, though, created an opportunity for a fan downstairs. Let's look at it that way. He's going, I'll get another chance.
Yeah.
Maybe in
You think?
10 years.
Got it, I got it, I got it. I don't got it.
Reds, by the way, have a 34-man roster today. The Cubs technically 27 with the late addition of Andrew Cashner, who again won't be used this afternoon. I guess that's advantage Reds if this game goes into the 25th inning. It's a lot of extra guys, but you can have up to 40 here in the final month. Kicks off the mound and a little bobble, but Giannis still gets him.
Ended in and out, but a pretty tough at bat that time by Brian LaHare against a guy that's been really tough on left-handed hitters this year. Stayed right in there, ultimately hits one back up the middle of the field. Willis tried to kick it to slow it down, and Giannis, after a slight bobble, able to throw on for the out.
Sharply hit ground ball, and it gets into center. Phillips was shaded a little bit more toward first base than usual, his second base position. And Matt Garza with 3 hits over his last 2 starts. Want to see a football?
There you go.
Wouldn't play tackle football on the asphalt. Let's see what you got here. You going to throw it? Nope. You're not going to throw it. I'll throw it. Fly ball to center. And Stubbs makes a catch, and the inning is over. Cubs 4, Reds 1.
I've been working like a dog. It's been a hard day's night. I should be sleeping like a log. But when I get home to you, I find the things that you do will make me feel alright. You know I work all day to get your money to buy a thing. And it's worth it just to hear you say you're gonna give me everything. So why on earth should I moan? 'Cause when I get you alone, you know I feel okay. When I'm home, everything seems to be right.
I can't think of the name of the song or the band, but that's our Bud Fan Camp. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. A Hard Day's Night by the Beatles.
Working like a dog.
We get into the 7th. Patrick Kane, Victor Stahlberg, Dave Bolin, Jamal Mayers, and Nicholas Chalmerson from the Blackhawks. Sing the stretch. Is there enough room in this booth for us and 5 hockey players? We'll find out.
Well, if a brawl breaks out, I know who's going to be left in the booth, and it ain't us.
Oh, 1 to Alonso, missed barely. 1 ball, 1 strike. The wind out of the north has not slowed down all day. And we're totally cloudy at this point. It's cooled it off even a little more.
Big swing by Yonder Alonso on an inside fastball. Looked like it got him on the right shin. Stumbles out of that batter's box and just now back in the box ready to hit.
Talked about Alonso. They're trying to find a place to put him defensively. First baseman by trade. He's now made 8 starts in left and 1 start at third base. That was his first professional action at third. It was on August 29th against the Phillies.
We talked about it throughout the afternoon. They're going to have to find a defensive position for this guy or move him somewhere else because his bat definitely plays at the major league level. There's no question this kid can hit.
Has a base hit and it gets by Johnson, and Alonso on his way to second, and a stumble by Bird. Alonso will end up at third. Boy, Marlon Bird with a face plant on the warning track trying to retrieve that ball. It's a single and an error on Reed Johnson.
Reed's pretty sure-handed out there in the outfield, whether it's left, right, or center. This time just backed off the ball. It scooted by him all the way to the vines in right center field, and then Marlon Bird loses his footing on the warning track. This is about a 6-man relay to get that ball back into the infield for the Cubs. Ultimately, they do hold Yonder Alonso at third base. The leadoff single and an error on Reed Johnson.
Cubs will concede this second run of the day, leading by 3. If Francisco should hit a ground ball to somebody other than Garza. That will land foul. Did a UFO land? Leave some markings on the warning track.
Yeah, some crop circles out there on the warning track.
Those weren't there when the game started.
I know you saw it, Len. I'm sure a lot of the fans saw the Brewers, the fun they had with Ryan Braun as he stumbled around third base. Strike 3 on a high fastball.
Let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. Evan Mesoraco swings and misses. And Matt Garza's conceding nothing. Runner at third. That'll get the job done. First career RBI for Mesoraco, 2 outs, and now a 4-2 game.
Took a jam shot back up the middle of the field. Garza looked like he wanted to turn and dive for that ball, but he too loses his footing out there on the mound. The same sniper that got Marlon Byrd on the warning track must have hit Garza right there on the mound.
Strike on Paul Janisch. And backing up is Castro. Nice toss to first. They get one. That's it. Here come the Blackhawks with a stretch.
Today's guest conductors for Take Me Out to the Ball Game, Patrick Kane and members of the Chicago Blackhawks.
All right. Nice, nice.
There you go.
Outstanding. Thank you very much.
That's for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, I like it.
Cubs lead 4-2. Great to have with us Patrick Kane from the Blackhawks. They're just a few days away from kicking off training camp and getting set for the 2011-2012 season. Patrick, always nice to see you back here at the ballpark.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's first day in Chicago, so it's exciting to be back.
And the weather turned. It was 93 on Friday. Dave Boland, flip-flops and shorts today. But he's a hockey player,
That's right.
I guess being from Buffalo, I bring the bad weather with me. So
thanks for the gifts. We've got Blackhawks golf shirt and cap. Nicely done. I will wear it proudly.
yeah, no problem.
.02 and it drops low. So you had wrist surgery mid-July.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
how's it feel?
Pretty good. Everything's checking in right now. The plan to get the splint off is September 15th, and after that I should be able to do anything. So that's going to be a good day for me.
The 4th annual Blackhawks Training Camp Festival at the United Center, Saturday, September 17th. Tickets are just $5. First on ice action of the season. You get a Patrick Sharp bobblehead. You're among the first 10,000 fans. Go to ChicagoBlackhawks.com for more information. It's fouled away again. Still 1-2 on Reed Johnson.
Patrick, I wanted to ask you, baseball is such a long season, 162 games, and the guys are around each other all the time. A lot of practical jokes, a lot of ragging back and forth. Do you guys have the same thing in hockey?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think probably any sport is like that, but definitely being in the locker room, I think we have an 82-game season, and there's definitely some road trips. We have some long road trips this year, 21, 20 days. There'll be a lot of jokes on that trip, and we have some good jokesters on our team. So, it's a fun locker room to be around. We're all pretty young. We're all, love playing hockey and having fun, and, that's part of it, too.
Who's the number one prankster? Who's the guy when somebody plays a practical joke? Who gets blamed?
Probably Patrick Sharp the most.
Yeah.
Him and Adam Burrish were roommates before Burrish left to play with the Stars, and they had a lot of pranks together. But I think some of us younger guys are getting wiser in our old ages, so hopefully we can keep up with those guys a little bit.
Old age.
Yeah, how about
You're going
that?
into your 5th NHL season. You haven't turned 23 yet, correct?
Yep, exactly.
Do you feel like an old guy in terms of just knowing the league and everything, even though you still are very young?
Yeah, well, it's crazy to think that, it's my 5th season in the league. It's went by pretty quick, but you always want to think you're still pretty young, especially at the age of 22, and hopefully I have a lot of years left. But, it's fun playing in Chicago, and it's a great city, and obviously a great sports city, too. You could come to outings like this, with the Cubs, the White Sox, obviously. You got the Bears, who had a great run last year, and the Bulls as well. So it's definitely a great sports city. We love being here.
3-0 on Aramis. He takes ball 4 as we check out our Xfinity HD shot of the game. A nice hand for all the Blackhawks, and a ceremonial first pitch today as well. Cubs baseball brought to you by Xfinity, only from Comcast. I'm sure we talked to you about this the first time you came up here. Did you play baseball a lot as a kid?
Yeah, especially being American. I think a lot of us played baseball. Definitely a fun sport to play, and throwing out the first pitch, you got to represent the Americans well. So probably did an okay job of that today.
How hard is training camp for you?
You know what? I think it's a really important part of the season for a lot of us, especially myself. Going through this injury right now, it's going to be big for me to get back into tip-top shape, and obviously strengthen my wrist. But it's probably just like spring training for baseball players. You got to take it pretty seriously to get yourself ready for the start of the season.
The Hawks will be on WGN once again. First game coming up preseason is 20 days away. Detroit against the Red Wings as Baker bounces foul. Check out the first 3 games here on WGN. Preseason action in Detroit. Blackhawks and the Capitals on October 2nd. Preseason as well. And then the Bruins and Hawks, an original 6 matchup at 7:30 from the United Center on October 15th. I don't think we've chatted with you actually since you won the Stanley Cup. We talked to your coach a couple of times earlier this season as Baker swings and misses. And that's the second out. You were the only guy in the entire building in Philadelphia and maybe on the planet who knew the puck was in the net. And you were trying to tell your teammates, it's over, we won.
Yeah, I think myself, maybe Sharpie, and a couple other guys on the team, and maybe Leighton, the goalie for Philadelphia, knew. But after that, I think the crowd was pretty stunned, and even some of our players coming off the bench. It's funny to see pictures. They're looking back at the ref and the opposing net to see if it was actually a goal. And even our goalie, I kind of had to tell him that it was in the net too. But definitely a fun year and a fun result to the end of it too.
And I know you'd like to repeat it a few more times with the Blackhawks. Patrick Kane, best of luck this season. Thanks for stopping by today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. All right.
I thank Wally Hayward and the Chicago Cubs as they treated our television production crew with pizza from D'Agostino's.
Man. Attaboy win.
And Griffiths just crushing two at a time.
Fold, spindle, and mutilate.
Dontrelle Willis bats for himself, breaks his bat, and grounds out to Jeff Baker. And Willis might possibly be done on the mound, but because of his offensive prowess, even trailing late, he's allowed an extra at bat. He's 1 for 3. Tony Campana comes in for Alfonso Soriano in left. He looks familiar. That's autopilot from Airplane. He looks great.
Yes,
I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah, hasn't changed a bit.
No, hasn't aged at all.
The same hairstyle.
As inflated as ever. Carlos Fisher's back up in the Reds pen. That'll be it for Willis. 7 innings, 4 runs.
And some fans may remember the series in Milwaukee recently on the last road trip. We had an opportunity to catch up with Darwin Barney for a pregame show, and I asked him, are there any second basemen around the league that you model your game after, or guys that maybe have helped you? And he immediately referenced Brandon Phillips. Said every time Darwin gets to second base against the Reds, or vice versa, when Brandon Phillips gets to second against the Cubs, they always have a little conversation out there about second base defense play.
Out in the left center, and that's going to bring the tying run to the plate. Phillips, big turnaround first, on his way towards second, and he's going to get in. Good effort there by Bird, but Phillips hustled his way into a double.
That was a nice play by Marlon Bird that time, just to make it close at second base. Hey, I thought that was an easy double for Brandon Phillips, his 33rd of the year. Line drive, kept it underneath the wind. Marlon cuts it off before it reaches that warning track and hustled to throw back to the infield, making it a close play at second base. An awkward slide that time by Phillips, had his cleats down as he went to the dirt. Way to roll an ankle.
Wood and Russell are up in the Cubs pen. This is not a Sean Marshall day because Sean had worked in 3 in a row. And Carlos Marmol should be available after the day off yesterday. On the hands of Stubbs, and he fought it off. 0-2. Votto on deck. Now, when I say the tying run at the plate, that is true. But on a day like this, it's a little less likely one swing could tie it up.
Yeah, 2-run lead feels a little more comfortable on a day like this at Wrigley, just because of the unlikelihood of somebody going deep.
Although, having said that, Reed Johnson missed one by a couple of feet back in the 5th inning.
Is unlikelihood a word? No, just kind of rolled out.
The unlikelihood? It sounds right. We can say flowl, we can say unlikely.
That's right.
I think it is.
Not it is now.
Yes, it is a word.
Okay.
Yep. Good job. You said a word. An official word. Phillips on his way to third. He's going to get in without a throw. That is all about anticipation. Brandon Phillips is very active on those bases.
Anticipation and that quick first step. As soon as you see that ball go into the dirt, you have to understand that the catcher not only has to block it, he's got to get to the ball, pick it up cleanly before making a throw. And if you get a good jump off of second base or off of first base on a pitch in the dirt, it's going to be awfully tough for that catcher to throw you out.
Called strike 3 for the second out. That's 8 for Garza today, and a big one.
184 on the season for Drew Stubbs. Low fastball right at the bottom of the zone to a good high fastball hitter.
Joey Votto, ground ball. Handcuffs Castro. He won't make a throw. It's 4-3. That's an error on Starlin. And that's going to be it, I think, for Garza, as Mike Quade is out.
Oh, hit like a bullet to shortstop. Castro got his feet too far spread apart, lost his balance, and was actually fielding that ball as he was falling backwards. Still may have had a play had he been able to stay on his feet, but the ball got far enough away that Votto was able to reach on the E6.
Mike Quade's going to leave him in to face Jay Bruce. Ball got out of the Reds bullpen. Mentioned Fisher up earlier. He has now been joined by another right-hander. Might depend on the score once this half inning's over. Called strike. Logan on Drusick is the other right-hander. Drusick not throwing, though, at the moment. I want to say hi to Deanna Beck, watching on WGN America from Pensacola, Florida.
I'll tell you, Len, this is very familiar territory for the Cincinnati Reds this season, playing close ball games. 11 of their last 15 have been decided by 1 or 2 runs, and over the course of the season, 83 games have been decided by 1 or 2 runs. So this is a situation that Dusty and the Reds have been in many, many times this year.
3-1.
In those 83 games decided by 1 or 2 runs, their record is 36-47, most losses in the big leagues.
That's ball 4, and that will be it for Matt Garza. It's going to be James Russell against Yonder Alonso when we come back. Matt Garza chatting with Mark Riggins. And now he'll watch James Russell. 2 on, 2 down, a run in, a 4-3 Cubs lead here in the 8th. Slider strike to Alonso.
Really been 2 different seasons for James Russell this year. He's 1-0 with an even 2.00 ERA in 51 relief appearances. 0-5 with a 9.33 ERA as a starter.
Big call there. Greg Gibson said Alonso went, so it's 0-2.
Close.
Here it is, slowing outside.
You saw Giovanni Soto nodding his head in the affirmative. That's exactly what he wanted that time from James Russell. See if you can expand that zone, get Alonso to chase a pitch way out of the strike zone. Probably work his way back a little bit closer to the zone this time, but still has a pitch to play with here.
Slowly hit ground ball. Jeff Baker will scoop. And Russell does his job. Garza can get his 8th win of the year if the Cubs can close him out the rest of the way.
home of the Chicago Cubs and get an insider's look at more than 97 years of history in this legendary ballpark. Guided tours may include visits to the press box, the clubhouses, the dugouts, as well as a chance to actually step on the field. For more information or to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com. Tour sizes are limited and sell out fast, so get your tickets today.
Right-hander Carlos Fisher against Marlon Byrd. 4-3 Cubs here in the bottom of the 8th. Swinging a pop-up. And the wind will not push that one out of play, as Mesoraco just had enough room to make the catch. I'm surprised. Not that he caught it, but that he had a chance to catch it.
Anytime you see a pop-up behind home plate, the natural spin on the baseball will usually work it back toward the field of play, but with the wind blowing the way it is today, I didn't think that one had a chance to stay in.
Interesting trip to the mound here from Brian Price.
On one pitch.
Sun back out, so Brandon Phillips gets the flip downs.
The numbers for Carlos Fisher this season: two-seam fastball, a slider, and a cutter that he uses extensively.
Carlos Marmol getting ready for the 9th. Hopefully he'll be a lot better than he was a couple of days ago. Gave up that grand slam to Derek Lee. And that's why you'd also like to see the Cubs add on here in the 8th if possible. That was that cutter. 2-1. Sharply hit ball, and it clanks, I believe, off the leg of Francisco. It's an error.
Nice piece of hitting that time by Giovanni Soto to wait on that slow breaking ball, and it just rips a bullet down toward Francisco at third base. Second hop just ate him up.
And just rolled up his arm. Comes Dusty. They were just biding some time here. So Aroldis Chapman had enough warm-up tosses. Ryan LaHare due up, and it'll be the fireballing Chapman when we come back. 4-3 Cubs. who throws about 200 miles an hour, it seems.
And with the wind behind him today. 62 punch outs in 41 and 2/3 innings. The Cubs roster has 7 at bats against Chapman. He struck him out 5 times.
So it'll be Chapman against LaHare with Soto at first after the error by the third baseman Francisco. And by the way, for the starter Matt Garza, he was charged with 3 runs today, but only 1 was earned. 7 and 2/3 innings, 113 pitches for Matt Garza. Pulled into right, and that's going to get to the wall. Soto racing toward third. He's going to be sent. Phillips with a relay throw to the plate in time. They got him. Wow, what a relay. As Bruce got it to Phillips. Phillips fed Mesoraco. Looked like Soto was going to beat that out by a mile, but 2 good throws and they got him.
Man, quick swing that time by Brian LaHare. Gets out in front of that fastball and rips it down into the right field corner. Just a textbook relay by the Reds. Perfect throw from Jay Bruce to Brandon Phillips, and then on one hop to Devin Mesoraco. Nowhere for Giovanni Soto to go. He's got the plate blocked.
I think that's a good send.
Yeah, you know, you got
Perfect
the pitcher
throw.
spot coming up, and it's going to be a pinch hitter, Darwin Barney, but you take your chances there at the bottom of the order. You force the other team to make the perfect relay, and unfortunately that time the Reds were able to do so.
A little more aggressive with the lead as well, as Barney swings and misses. 99 on that pitch. LaHare gets a double, moved to third on the throw. And the 0-1. That one at 100 miles an hour on our gun, 101 on the stadium clock.
Nice piece of base running by Brian LaHare as well. He didn't stand at second base and see if he was going to get another RBI at home plate. Saw that throw going through to home and just kept on running.
That would have been a big extra run to get. Swing and a miss, and that'll get us to the 9th. See if Marmol can hold them off. 4-3 Cubs. Well, we usually say the key guy is the first guy. That's really the case for Carlos Marmol. And that first guy today is Juan Francisco.
Usually not too hard to figure out whether Carlos Marmol has it or not. Watch his first couple sliders that he throws. If he has some movement across the strike zone and especially some movement down, the slider will be very good for him. If he throws some backup sliders that hang up on the inside part of the plate to righties or away from lefties, it could be a tough day.
The right side of the infield, Pena at first. Barney stays into play second. And a slider for a strike.
Good one there to start the sequence. Another good slider, even though it was off the plate inside. It started in the strike zone, down and in. Francisco checks his swing as that ball drops down and in underneath the hands of the left-handed hitter.
Mesoraco on deck. Paul Janisch due up third, but he is 0 for his last 28. Backdoor sliders outside. 2-2. Ball to Barney. First time Mesoraco has faced Carlos Marmol. So the good news is he doesn't have a hit against Marmol. The bad news is he hasn't made an out until now. Pena unassisted, 2 away.
Always seems to work that way, Len. 2 defensive replacements come into the game here in the bottom of the ninth. Darwin Barney at second, Carlos Pena at first, and they're both immediately involved in the action. 2 quick outs.
Ace pinch hitter Chris Heisey. Ten for 30 with 2 homers in the pinch. Very rare to see a guy as young as Heisey be so adept at pinch hitting. Called strike. All for 2 for Heisey against Carlos Marmol. Checked his swing. Picked up by Castro. Cubs win. That's the Carlos Marmol we're used to seeing. He comes right back after the blown save a couple of days ago against the Pirates and works a quick 1-2-3 ninth as the Cubs hold him off 4-3.
You better get ready for a brand new day. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are gonna win today. They're singing, go Cubs, go! Go Cubs, go! Hey, Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are gonna win today. Go Cubs, go! Go Cubs, go! Hey, Chicago!
So the Cubs win their second in a row, 4-3 the final. They're 2-2 on the homestand, and we'll have more in a moment.